being leader, you all of a sudden have all of the responsibilities on your shoulder that you thought you wanted when you were running as a candidate. But in all seriousness, it's a great opportunity for the party. I'm extremely proud of the win and very humbled by the support that I got from the members, and look forward to working very hard over the next weeks and months and years to make the party relevant again, and to grow our base and to make us a strong factor when it comes to the next election.
Do you find special challenges or special opportunities as a woman and leader?
I believe there's a bit of both. I think the challenges, unfortunately, still remain around the extent to which a woman's voice is given the same credibility just by virtue of its gender as a man's voice, and so that still exists, unfortunately, today. But the opportunities are there as well, and the opportunities around particularly bringing a different perspective, a different way of doing things, a different methodology, I think, to the work that I do, and I say that because I'm finding that being leader of a political party is quite a multifaceted experience and quite a multifaceted job, and I think that the fact that I'm a woman brings, I think, opportunity because women are often doers of so many different things all the time, and I think that that prepares a person to have a job like this or a position like this one.
You've been a politician for quite a number of years now, but it's been at the municipal and the level, and also as a local MPP. Now you're responsible to a whole province, and people are talking to you from across the province. What are they telling you, especially about these economic times that we're facing?
Well, Ish, it's interesting because the fear, the worry, the concern exists from one end of the province to the other. So whether I'm talking to somebody from Thunder Bay who's had the mill closed down, or whether it's somebody from Hamilton who's seen U.S. Steel, pack up and walk away, the concern and the fear is there no matter where we are in the province. So there's a lot of consistency. The tough economic times have hit everyone. We know that in forestry, particularly in the north, that has been playing out for quite some time now. The rest of the province is now pretty much, unfortunately, caught up in terms of the economic devastation and the job loss, and what that means for people, for individuals, for families, but also for entire communities.
We've got a couple of critical situations facing Ontario right now in terms of companies. One is the Chrysler situation, where Chrysler is threatening to pull out of Canada if the workers don't come up with $19 an hour in cost savings. The other is Abitibi Bowater, which is declared bankruptcy. What should Ontario be doing? What should Premier Dalton McGuinty be doing on these situations, and what is the NDP saying?
Well, I think that it's clear, particularly in the auto sector, that if we lose the auto sector in Ontario, we'll lose so many jobs. I mean, really the guts of our economy will be devastated. So I do believe that it's important for government to be at the table in trying to save the manufacture of the automobiles in Ontario, in Canada. Having said that, we can't just throw money at the companies and expect them to do the right thing. So there are strings attached, and that's what we've been saying. There needs to be strings attached to that investment. I think the workers have come to the table. I think the workers are doing the responsible thing. I know that it's been difficult, but they did get the deal with GM as the model, and we're expecting to be able to negotiate similarly with the other two of the big three. I think that the role of government in this is to make sure that we're acknowledging that it's not on to just to rip the guts out of collective agreements and put all of the responsibilities on the workers. Certainly, the companies are not making money, and so we have to understand that economic reality. But we also have to acknowledge and recognize that there have been many years where the companies have made a heck of a lot of money, and that a lot of that wealth was not necessarily managed appropriately for the tough times which we now see occurring. And so we have to, I believe, put some markers down around if we're investing as government, we have to make sure that those investments are going to be transparent and accountable. In other words, it's not a matter of investing in a company and then watching the CEOs and the corporate executives walk away with huge golden parachutes and still shut down the plants and lay off workers from one end of the province to the other. So there needs to be job guarantees. There needs to be salary caps on top executives if we're going to be investing taxpayers' dollars or government dollars on these companies. We need to make sure that the products of the future and the R&D for the products of the future are being done here in Ontario, so that those workers will be reemployed when the new products are coming online. So we need to have those guarantees as well. I think there's a number of pieces that need to be a part of the puzzle. Ultimately, I believe that it is worthwhile to keep these companies going, and I believe there can be a reconfiguration of the auto sector, whether it's with green cars, whether it's with electric cars, other kinds of products, whether it's taking some of the secondary manufacturing that feeds into the auto industry and transforming that into industry that perhaps is providing windows for trains and moldings and parts for rapid transit systems, and so I think that there's opportunity. I think the wrong thing to do is to simply turn our backs on our industrial manufacturing sector in Ontario and say we no longer need that as part of our economy. That's what Dalton McGuinty believes. That's not what I believe.
There are companies, though, that are just shutting down forever, and we know that they're not coming back. So part of Ontario's old industrial base has vanished indeed. Well, where is the hope for workers who have lost their places in that industrial base?
Well, I think there's a couple of places where hope can be found. I mean, one is the opportunity for transformation of the economy, which I've already spoken about. I think the challenge there, though, is particularly in the older workers who are perhaps in their 50s and are not going to be able to see that transformation in time for them to be able to take advantage economically of that. I think that there's hope in the possibility of jobs that are based on where we need to go as a society in terms of environmental issues. And so I think about what Ontario can do, not only in terms of, so for example, governments are investing massive dollars into infrastructure programs, trying to stimulate the economy, doing all this work. If those dollars are simply, short-term dollars that create quick construction jobs, implementation of huge projects, but the only vision is for those of the moment jobs, then that's not very hopeful. If, on the other hand, the government says, yes, we want to build, for example, transit systems across the province, GTA is clamoring for more transit, Hamilton, Ottawa, I mean, you name it, everybody's clamoring for transit. If the government were taking a perspective that said, and so when we invest these dollars, we're going to make sure that there's 50% of the trains, for example, of the buses, of the vehicles used in these new transit systems are going to be made in Ontario, then we have opportunity to breathe life back into some of our manufacturing sector. So it's not a matter of saying the jobs are gone forever. It's a matter of saying there's opportunity to breathe life back into our industrial sector, our manufacturing sector, if we say, we're going to make these investments, billions and billions of dollars we're going to invest to stimulate the economy, and it's not just going to be for the short-term hit in terms of jobs. It's going to be for the longer-term vision of leveraging those dollars to rebuild our industrial or our manufacturing sector. Maybe not to the size that it was before, maybe not to the economic value that it was in the past, but it still should be a big part of our economy, I believe. Secondly, we look at green energy as the other big piece in terms of where we need to go as a society. And we believe that there needs to be a 60% Buy Ontario policy on renewables and on green energy. We think that that's extremely important. We know that Quebec has already done that. And in so doing, they have now become the leading manufacturer of wind turbines across the entire country. And that's because they had a vision and they said, we believe that this is what we need to do. Not only do we need to put green energy projects on the ground, but we need to put Quebec workers to work making the components, making manufacturing, the components of windmills, for example, and they've been successful at that. So it's a matter of vision. It's a matter of leveraging dollars and making them work on the longer term as opposed to just the short-term construction jobs.
Finally, what do we do now for the people who are caught in this crisis, the families facing homelessness, bankruptcy?
Well, it's a good question, and it's one that I don't think is getting enough attention. I mean, there needs to be some real work done around how do we provide bridging really for people so that they don't end up losing everything. I mean, we know already that our social assistance system here in Ontario is extremely punitive. What that means is once your EI runs out, if you actually are eligible to obtain EI, which many workers are not, but once that runs out, all you're left with is the possibility of welfare if there are no jobs in the economy to transition to. But welfare means you have to completely liquefy everything. You have to liquidate all of your assets. You have to sell your house. You have to liquidate your RSPs. You totally have to become absolutely destitute before you can actually qualify for a check from welfare. That is absolutely the wrong way to go. I mean, what that says is that we drive people into the deepest levels of poverty before we give them the hand that they need. In this economic situation, those rules can all be changed, and they need to be changed, and they need to be changed now to make sure that people can hang on to what they have so